Hello, welcome back to Flyer Overtime. I'm joined here today with Will Persiani, one of the creative student interns here at the University of Dayton. How are you doing, Will?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
So you do content creation for the University of Dayton athletics program here. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so essentially kind of what I'm doing is I help the lead creative assistant with like storytelling through our athletics. So that's game clips, short videos after, game recaps, stuff like that. I'll dabble in a little photos sometimes, but it's mostly videos. And then just kind of working collaboratively with my peers and just like how I can improve better, like how I can tell a story. I think that's really the main factor in like my position is being able to have the person on the other side of the screen feel like they were at the game or practice or event.
What got you into that whole media content creation?
Yeah, so I played sports all my life, and I knew that I wanted to stick with sports even after I was done playing. So my last year of playing like an organized sport was my freshman year of college. I played at John Carroll University, played football there. Decided like my body, it's just like I need to be done. So I wanted to stick with sports in some way. And backtracking a little more, I took a photography class in high school, and it's just like I kind of felt a click with the camera. Like I kind of felt that like I kind of like doing this. Like it was photography, but then I dabbled in video. Over that summer before my freshman year, I did a lot of video content stuff just on my own, just recap like hype videos for smaller players. Kind of grew my popularity, and then after I was done with football, I got a position with John Carroll Athletics in their sports information department, and I was known as the video guy. So I kind of just grinded my way there, ended up transferring to Dayton, got the job here, and then just ever since then, it's just been kind of going up.
Who got you involved here at the University of Dayton? Who helped you with that process?
There is he graduated now, his name was Ethan Shum, and he was a basketball manager. And he was friends with my brother, and still friends now, and he said, like, hey, I know you're looking at transferring, like, I could put you in contact with my bosses now, Matt Barnes and Ryan Phillips. So Ethan put me in contact with them. They kind of checked in, like, my transfer process, how's that going? They needed a few more interns, so I definitely say Ethan was kind of like the alley part, and then the Matt and Ryan were like the oop part. They both kind of walked me through what it would be like and how to get on the team.
What does a typical day look like for you as a content creator here on and off the fields and arenas?
That's just kind of varies by season, I would say. Definitely, I would say fall and spring. I'd say fall is a little more heavier than spring just because there's like a lot more fall sports going on and stuff like that. Just kind of a typical day, like I'll have my classes and stuff like that. I'll get a workout in, and then homework time, and then I kind of have like a dedicated video time. So kind of in the video time, it's more of organizing clips and folders, or it's creating videos, kind of researching I guess like sounds to use. That's like another part of the job is like watching like other creators, learning from other creators. I'll have office hours some of the days, and I don't think there's really a set and typical day. And I think that's kind of like why I like it. There's a lot of it's like complexity, but a lot of like change in your typical days. Like some days I'll be working on recaps, some days I'll be working on short clips. Some game days. I mean, that's a whole nother process where I've got to make sure I've got like all my stuff is charged, all my like batteries. I have all my batteries, all my SD cards are like clear. I've got space on my camera, and then that's more of kind of like a mental prep where it's like 2 to 3 hours before I kind of say like lock in, but just kind of like, all right, like this is what I got to do. Depending on the game, I might have to do a recap that night of. I mean, that's happened for volleyball a lot. But it's kind of just, I guess, a zen moment. I don't know if like how you would really say that, but just being able to kind of like focus up and then do what I need to do.
Speaking of volleyball, What other sports have you done here at UD?
I've done volleyball. That's like my main bread and butter in the fall. Men's, women's basketball. Obviously, that's a huge staple in Dayton athletics. So I've done that as well. And then I've done football, men's, women's soccer, baseball, softball. And then I've done some like media days for like track and field, golf, stuff like that. I think this fall, like a month ago, I hit every sport, which was something that I've wanted to get to. I haven't done a game for everything, but I've done at least parts of every sport, which is something that I can say I'm proud of.
So what have you learned from yourself about doing content creation for each respective sport?
I say the biggest thing that I've learned and the thing that I love the most about my job is that it teaches me how to be adaptable to different situations. Obviously, different sports, there's different like styles of pace, and like that determines kind of like the video content I'm producing. Also, to like an example that I love and that I use on like interviews and stuff is when I traveled with the volleyball team to Waco, Texas for the first 2 rounds of the tournament. They won the Sweet 16 game, and like I had the night before they won the round of 32 game. So backtrack, they won the round of 64. So I had to do a recap that night. Pretty smooth game. They won 3-1 versus South Carolina. Wasn't too cinematic, so it was kind of right to the point. So I finished that video at around like midnight, went to bed, woke up. It's game day again. They beat Baylor, advanced to the first Sweet 16 in history, and I didn't get back to the hotel till like 11 p.m. And then I worked on the video till like 4 a.m. And it just kind of shows me being adaptable to the situation you're in, but also kind of like persevere. Like my bosses and like the SID, he said like, hey, if you need to go to bed, finish it tomorrow, like it'll be good. Just the only thing, if it's finished by tonight, we can put it on the big screen at the basketball game. So like that in my mind, I was like, well, I want my stuff on the big screen. But I also want to finish it too, because I want it to be ready by tomorrow, going to bed knowing like I finished it, it's complete. So that took me like 4 or 5 hours to do, but I think I'm grateful for that because it shows me like, okay, so this is what happened if they win. Like this is the first time thing. Like we kind of freaked out. We didn't know what to do. So I was able to just kind of adapt to this situation I'm in. That's a huge life lesson, I believe.
Speaking of volleyball, last year, your involvement with the volleyball program here was incredible. You managed to make some viral content that went up on ESPN and the NCAA channels. What was that feeling like for you?
Yeah, it's just awesome to see my work just kind of be on like such a big platform like ESPN, NCAA volleyball, and like I've had the privilege to talk with like the people who like run those accounts. Just that, the feedback I've gotten that, the work's great. But I also don't like strive off of feedback, but I think it's just such a cool experience to see like my stuff on the big screen.
What have been the biggest challenges for you covering these different sports, either on like shoot days, game days, or even practices?
I would definitely say the 2 things are battery life and space, like storage on the SD cards. There are some times where batteries might not be charged, hate to say it, so I'll kind of have to like make with what I have. Same with storage, sometimes I'll forget to clear SD cards, but at the end of the day, like I'll find a way to work it out. Like if I need someone else's battery, another SD card, just find a way to make it work.
During these game days and match days, there's not just one person there covering the sport. There's multiple. How does a team like you and the Red Eye fluctuate?
Yeah, I think just each sport kind of has different rules. I can't really say too much about how it's divided up, but it's kind of just a scheduling standpoint where, so for me, I've done volleyball. There's usually a person doing soccer, sometimes there's a person doing football, and then there's sometimes extra shooters between games that kind of just get angles. So if like, there's really cool play and I'm, on like the sideline for volleyball, and then maybe someone else got a really cool shot, same play, but they're roaming up top. It really helps for recaps to get that cinematic feel and that like storytelling component.
You guys introduced Red Eye not too long ago. What has been the meaning behind it, and how have you been able to manage those social media accounts?
Kind of think Red Eye, like a Red Eye flight. We are the Flyers, and kind of what I elaborated on before is like there's a lot of late nights, like a Red Eye, Red Eye flight, Red Eye night. So there's that part, and just kind of managing it. It was something that I was offered to if anyone wanted to manage, and I said like, yeah, sure, I'll manage it. It was last January, I believe. It's just a cool way to kind of feature the people behind the camera, is what I like to say, just because we can't necessarily get credit like from the main accounts, but kind of going behind the scenes and spotlighting the interns and our bosses.
What's the importance of teamwork for you doing these live sporting events?
Yeah, I think it's like the biggest thing. It's definitely hard. Like when I've traveled with the volleyball team, I've been a few of the matches I've been doing photo and video, and it's a definitely difficult switch just because there's a lot of settings you have to change in such a short amount of time, and how much photo do I need, how much video do I need. So I think it's really nice that when we have like a secondary video shooter, or like a team, like a group of us for basketball, or even if it's just I'm doing a volleyball game on a Saturday in November and there's someone else doing photo with me, so I don't have to worry about going back and forth. I can just focus on video.
Looking back, what creative choices or storytelling has led you to the biggest draws and attention?
I think the problem that I've had with my content, it's never seemed to get like just pop up on Reels and go viral by itself. It has to be pushed out by a different organization. But I do remember my biggest video that like straight me edited camera, not because I've had, like you said, I've had clips on ESPN, but it was combined into one video. But I think the biggest solo video was 2023 volleyball versus Marquette. I did an in-game clip, and then NCAA volleyball, they put the video on their main account. I think it got over like 100,000 views.
Wow.
By itself, and it was like a 8-second clip. That's from what I can remember. But I do, overall, I think I've generated over 3 million views from content across all platforms. But I think that was probably the biggest. So I put a lot of content out there. What
skills or perspectives do you think are essential to doing this type of work?
Like one, I mentioned adaptability. I think that's the biggest one. Different circumstances you're in, you got to learn how to react quickly. I think the willingness to learn and being open to growth. I think there's a lot of learning. Like we say, it's a joke, YouTube University, because YouTube's free. YouTube has everything, daily around the house stuff to creative video stuff. And I think those really are the two you need, because like sometimes my bosses will say like, hey, like this is not very good. Like we got a lot of work to do. It's frustrating, but then the ability to say like, listen and say to them and say like, I'm willing to learn, and they're saying I'm willing to teach you how to make this better.
Are there any trends in the sports content creation world that you think students should start implementing?
I think the biggest thing, I don't necessarily know if there's trends, but I think it's more of just kind of having fun with it. You're not going to get, it's kind of like being a lineman. I was a lineman in high school. It's like you're not getting all the credit. You're not getting the quarterback credit, but just have fun with it. Find a way to have fun. I think that's the biggest one. That's kind of what we're doing with Red Eye right now.
How has your perspective on sports changed since starting this internship?
I think, and definitely in college sports, I've done a few like semi-pro games, but college sports is just a grind, especially at a lower level. Not that Dayton's, we're Division I, but just with NIL and everything, like there's some of these schools that are just miles above other people because they have funding and stuff. And I think one awesome thing too about Dayton is that like you see these athletes every day, and they're just like us. They're students who play a sport, and I respect that, because as an athlete myself, it is hard to manage, at such a high level, sports and school at the same time. And I think it's cool that there's athletes in classes with me, like a few of them. Like I think all of my classes, I have at least like one or two athletes in the class. And I love that they're kind of just like, we're students too. We play sport. We're not better than anybody else. We're here to get an education, hopefully play at the next level. But I think it's just sports and college sports itself is just a grind, and you got to respect the athletes for multitasking both.
And what has been the relationship between like you and the coaching staff and the players?
So definitely, since working in volleyball, I know the coaching staff very well. Coach Horseman, Coach Belize, Coach Cooper, Coach Austin, and then the players too. They're just nice individuals. I think that's kind of like what separates some programs from another, is that we may not be the, winning national championships every year, but I think they're just good humans. I think that says a lot about Dayton too, is that it's a school for good humans. I'll see them on weekends sometimes, if they have free time. I'll see them, passing by in classes, stop and have a chat. And I think I think Dayton kind of offers that. It brings together everybody.
With your time winding down here at UD, what steps are you taking toward your next position in sports media or marketing, since you're a marketing major?
Yeah, I think just kind of be open to everything. I haven't necessarily thought of kind of what exactly my future is going to look like. I've had a few internships, marketing internships. I'm an MIS minor, which is a lot of database stuff. I do love analytics, database work like that. But I also love football. It's one of the things I love. And I've got to talk with a few people in the professional football world, just kind of guided me and just saying like, here are some options. Like, here's how I can help you. But I think it's really just I think the biggest thing is connections, and just reaching out to people and finding out as much as I can, making these connections early, so I'm not struggling come graduation weekend. Just say I need a job, and just kind of just know it's not permanent. Know everything's not permanent. A lot of people switch jobs. I think the average in like a career, I saw a stat, was like 6 times, which is sometimes those first 3 years you're switching 3 times, and then you got a job for 20 years and you might switch again. So I think it's just kind of know nothing's permanent, but just continue to just kind of keep doing me, keep learning, keep growing, keep adapting, and then everything will work out. But I think that's another thing about working in sports, is there's a lot of opportunity to do cool things, and I'm fortunate and blessed enough to have to experience those things.
All right. Well, I thank you for joining here today on Flyer Overtime, Will, and I wish you luck on your career journey.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to connect with Will, or if you want to hear more stories from other Flyers, links are in the description.